In the late 1990s, England suffered a series of bombings carried out by the Irish Republican Army. After this, British counterintelligence began recruiting spies to collect information about potential terrorists. 1993, Robert Freegard arrives in a new city and gets a job as a bartender. Being an excellent psychologist and a charming person, a man easily gains the trust of strangers. One evening, he tells one of the students that he is not actually a bartender, but an MI5 agent forced to work undercover to identify terrorists and collaborators of the Irish Republican Army. Ian, Maya, and Sophie are three trusting students who become the spy's assistants, helping him and their homeland. Robert reports that a group of students nearby may have connections with terrorists. At a party, friends persuade the crowd to go to the bar, while Ian stays at their house and conducts a search. The guy was unable to find anything worthwhile, so the mission is not considered completed. At night, Robert informs three assistants that they have been discovered, and they need to escape in order to save the lives of themselves and their loved ones. 9 years later, while selling expensive cars, Robert notices the charming Alice Archer working as a lawyer in an office nearby. After successfully solving a problem situation, the woman drinks with her work colleagues. On the way to the house, she meets Robert, who decides to get to know her. Alice rudely tells the stranger off, but the next morning, she apologizes for her behavior. Charming and persistent, Robert is not angry with the woman and understands her condition, so he offers his services as a driver. Upon arrival, the man leaves his business card and offers to call him to arrange a date. Alice is amazed by his persistence and agrees to a date, offering to come to her house the next evening. Expecting a quick meeting, the woman chooses a beautiful dress and is very nervous, but Robert does not call or show up at the appointed time. The whole next day, she is noticeably nervous, since the man who sought her attention simply disappeared. In the evening, Robert calls Alice, and she reluctantly answers after learning that his father was hospitalized, which was the reason for the failed date. Having learned that he is under her window with a gift in his hands, the woman invites Robert to her place, and the couple has dinner. Alice hopes that the man will stay with her until the morning, but he does not hint at anything, and after a short dialogue goes to his room. This confuses the woman even more, because Robert's behavior is unusual, but it attracts her more and more to him. The next day, the couple goes to the lighthouse, where the man shows off Tibetan singing bowls and a wonderful view of the city. Upon returning home, the couple spends quality time together. Robert goes to shower, and Alice notices that a girl named Sophie is calling him. The man lies and says that it is his father, after which he quickly leaves. The female lawyer does not trust her chosen one and asks her private investigator friend Phil to find out more about him. Meanwhile, Robert meets Sophie, the same student he took from his hometown 9 years ago. The naive girl still believes that they are working undercover and tries to carry out important assignments for Robert, dreaming of becoming a professional spy. Phil informs Alice that Robert has no credit history and in general is a ghost person who is not in any information database. On their next date, the woman tries to find out the truth, and Robert has to reveal that he is an MI5 agent who is forced to work undercover. On weekends, the couple goes to a country house to have fun. In her spare time, Robert invites the woman to think about changing her occupation and opening a luxury car rental center. Sometime later, Alice introduces her parents to the man, talking about plans for a joint business. The mother is glad that her daughter has a worthy man nearby, but the father is skeptical about Robert, realizing that there is distrust in him, and luring money out of wealthy Alice will not be easy. Robert begins to act. He tells Sophie that they will soon have to move to another city, but first she needs to complete a secret mission. Robert lied about having several last names, and Phil checked each of them. According to one of the names, it became known that the man was tried for stalking a girl, but later the judge reversed his decision. At dinner, Alice tells Robert about this, but he finds an excuse for this too, saying that this is just a Secret Service check, which she did not pass because she does not trust the secret agent. The next morning, Alice calls the mother of the girl Robert was pursuing, but believes that he is telling the truth, and all this is just a test of the secret agent's future wife. In a conversation with the man, she reports this, but he again finds an excuse. According to Robert, this girl had an addiction and asked for money for treatment, but her mother believes that he stole it. Immediately after this, Alice receives a call from Sophie's father, but she ignores him. Sophie's parents meet with her and inform her that Robert is using their daughter, and they sent £300,000 sterling for her maintenance. Meanwhile, Robert forges Alice's passport and grooms Sophie to pose as a lawyer. The next morning, the scammers go to the bank and withdraw £120,000 from the account of the future car rental business company. Upon learning of this, Alice realizes that Robert is an ordinary thief and deceiver who robbed her. The woman goes to the police and reports this, but Sonny is skeptical about this case, since the business is shared and Robert had the right to withdraw the money. A little later, the policeman calls Robert and asks him to come to the station. The scammer agrees to do it in 2 days, but throws away the phone and uses this time to escape. After spending the night with Sophie, Robert takes her to a remote part of the city and informs her that she will soon be picked up. Leaving the girl a mobile phone and some money, he leaves. Trusting Sophie is sure that she has become a secret agent, not realizing that Robert used and abandoned her, since her parents will no longer transfer money to her account. Alice is broken by the incident, and this leads to her being fired. In the evening, Robert calls her and admits what he did, but also claims that he sincerely loves her and feels guilty. A random guy in a cafe decides to meet Alice, but quickly regrets it because she has become distrustful and aggressive. Upon returning home, the woman destroys Robert's gift and decides to find the swindler at any cost. Phil asks her to be careful because this is a real and very dangerous criminal dedicated to his cause. Meanwhile, Robert, having settled in another city, is again engaged in selling cars. Here he meets Jenny Jackson, an American who has settled in the suburbs of London, and charms her. Alice meets with Ian, whom Robert abandoned in one of the cities 5 years ago. In a conversation with the guy, she learns about how the swindler deceived and used students so that they would complete his tasks. While Alice is looking for evidence and persuading Sonny to take action, Robert seduces another victim. He takes care of Jenny, arranges dinner for her, and showers her with attention in the same way as Alice shortly before. Meanwhile, poor Sophie is forced to survive on the street, hiding from the rain and sleeping in boxes of household appliances. Robert confesses to Jenny that he is a secret MI5 agent and works undercover. He invites the girl to also become a spy, but for this, she needs a perfect credit history. Jenny has $80,000 in student debt that needs to be paid off soon. Naively trusting, the girl asks her parents to borrow money. Alice and Sonny find Maya Henson and learn that she and Robert have 2 daughters. The girl still thinks that her husband is a secret agent, and this is all just another test. Playing along with the victim of deception, Alice says that she is from the Secret Service and asks for help in contacting Robert. Having obtained a notepad with a list of telephone numbers, Alice calls the numbers, but many of them are disconnected. Robert takes full control of Jenny and throws her sedative into the fire. The next morning, Sonny and Alice go to the American embassy. Jenny's parents panicked and turn to them to ask for help. Continuing to check phone numbers with the embassy representative, Alice accidentally calls Sophie and plays along with the naive girl, informing her that she has become a secret agent. While Jenny suffers without sedatives and asks her parents to transfer money, Alice meets with Sophie. The girl got used to the role of an agent, so even blindfolded she remembered where Robert took her. Jenny's parents transfer money, and Robert plans to run away. Alice, Sonny, and Sophie find the swindler's hideout. Alice still loves him and is persuaded to let him go, but Sophie has realized the truth and blocks the escape route, causing a car accident. 2 years later, the swindler's victims testified, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment. Alice opened a car rental shop and still visits the lighthouse. Robert became a deceiver even in prison, gaining confidence in himself. In 2009, he was released and returned to his criminal activities. Thanks for watching. Support us, like and subscribe. See you soon.